switch your camera off. That does help. It also helps to, if a person closes off some of the applications that's open on your laptop. You know, we find that if emails and everything else is open, it does impact the quality also of the sound and the feed that you may get. So it's 8 o'clock, and so I'd like for us to start. My name is Monica Stach, and I have the privilege of being the CEO of Cotlands, and I'd like to welcome all of you to Cotlands' 77th Ordinary Annual General Meeting. Just a few housekeeping or online virtual meeting rules, and I guess by now we all really are quite au fait with this, but it seems like we still need to just remind people. Would you please mute your microphone? There will be opportunity for some questions and so on later in the proceedings, and you could just then unmute. You can use the raise your hand function if there's anything you would like to ask. You're also welcome to make use of the chat function. We've seen that this really helps move meetings along, you know, so instead of trying to, you know, verbalize what you want to ask or say or comment, you can always do so in the chat function. I do think it's good if we keep the videos off during the proceedings, and then we ask for proposals and secondments, you can note that in the chat so that Kerry is also able to keep the minutes of and the records of who proposed and seconded particular sections of the business of the day. And then Kerry will also provide her cell phone number in the chat. So if you are experiencing any challenges in terms of voting or wanting to understand anything, you're welcome to also communicate with her via cell phone. And then also I would like to inform you that we will be recording this meeting, and so Kerry will start the recording shortly. And then also, if you could please take out your phones and then also share our AGM using the hashtag AGM 2021 or the hashtag Cotlands, and let people know that you are attending Cotlands AGM on Facebook. That would be really wonderful. And Natalie will also take a screenshot at some stage, and we'll kind of share that on social media. And then when we are done, I'd like for you to also just stay on the call just for about another 10-15 minutes. We have a fun game lined up, and we'd like to conclude with that as part of the AGM. And then Kerry, since I'm in presentation mode, if you could perhaps just alert me if there's anything that comes into the chat. I'd like to also call on Niven Postma, our chairperson, to open the 77th Ordinary Annual General Meeting for us. Over to you, Niven.
Good morning. Thank you, Monica, and good morning to everyone. It gives me great pleasure to open this year's AGM. So notice is hereby given that the 77th Ordinary Annual General Meeting of members and subscribers for Cotlands is being held virtually via Microsoft Teams today, Tuesday, the 7th of September, 2021, at 8 a.m. for the following business. First of all, to read this notice of convening the meeting. Secondly, to read and confirm the minutes of the previous annual general meeting. Thirdly, to receive and consider the following report on the position of the organisation for the financial period ended 31 March 2021. And that includes the chairperson's report, the CEO's report, and the financial report. Fourthly, to elect the members of the Board of Management for the upcoming year. Then to elect the auditors for the upcoming year. And lastly, to consider any business concerning the affairs of the organisation, which is brought under consideration by the reports submitted to the meeting. So by order of the Board of Management, I would like to declare this meeting open. So our first order of business is to confirm the annual general meeting minutes held last year, the 8th of September, 2020. So I'd like to confirm those minutes and ask for somebody to propose the confirmation, please.
I'll propose, Niven.
Thank you, Janet. I'd like somebody to second, please.
I second Viola Ntuli.
Thank you. Thanks, Ntuli. So moving on to the next order of business, I need to ask if there are any matters arising from these previous minutes. It seems not. And so, for the record, there are no matters arising, which allows us to move on to our reports, starting with my report as the chairperson. In the years leading up to 2020, futurists, scenario planners, and strategists around the world had predicted that given the reality of globalization, i.e. global supply chains, migration, international travel, and a host of other factors, a global pandemic of some sort was inevitable. They repeatedly emphasized that such an outbreak was not a question of if, but when. Then came the year that was 2020, when COVID-19 and its associated lockdowns, furloughs, curfews, panic buying, and all manner of other restrictions became a reality for the vast majority of the globe's citizens. As with many things, it started gradually with some news reports from Wuhan that I, for one, found interesting but very remote from my reality. And then suddenly, there was neither escaping nor denying it, no matter who we were or where we found ourselves. Of all the work I read, listened to, and tried to absorb, the most succinct and apt for me came from Keith Coates, a futurist whose work I have long admired. The title of a talk he gave said it all. Same planet, different world. Doesn't that exactly capture the reality of where we all found ourselves for most of last year, and where we still are, even 8 months into 2021? Despite the rollout of a vaccine and the lifting of many of the more stringent lockdown requirements, we are all, I think, personally and professionally, individually and collectively, continuing to grapple with the economic, social, political, and financial fallout of COVID-19. We will need to carry on doing so for a length of time that we can only guess at. As such, for me, it is almost impossible to separate my role as the chairperson of Cotlands from my identity as a citizen of a country that has seen its already very thinly worn economic and social fabric stretched to almost breaking point now by the pandemic. The personal has always been the political, and now it is the professional too. Consequently, even more so than in any previous year, it is incumbent on me to highlight the critical role that Cotlands plays in building this fabric and the future of our country. Our entire purpose is to ensure that as many of our country's young children as possible can access quality early learning programs. And investing in our children is not just the morally decent thing to do, it's also one of the most effective ways of overcoming the challenges facing South Africa today and for decades still to come. Given that 90% of a child's brain development happens during their first 5 years of life, creating access to a high-quality, play-based ECD program for children living in poverty contributes to improving their intellectual and social development, their school success, and ultimately their employability and economic performance as adults. In other words, childhood learning not only lays the foundation on which all later learning, behavior, and health depend, but it fundamentally determines the trajectory of a child's life. By supporting Cotlands, you support this work and the building of this country. We are all immensely grateful. Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge and applaud the dedication, commitment, and quite frankly, sheer professionalism of the Cotlands staff, all of whom weathered all manner of storms during 2020, including being on 80% of their salaries for months. This was an extremely challenging situation, but it did not deter a single Cotlander from continuing to give of their very best every day. Dr. Monica Stach, our CEO, has been exemplary in her determination to ensure that Cotlands can position itself as effectively as possible, not only to ride out the COVID-19 storm, but also to reach the 100-year mark for Cotlands and to do so having fulfilled as much of this remarkable organization's potential as possible. The same is true of her executive management team, all of whom have gone way beyond the call of duty this past year to support her and to engage with our stakeholders and beneficiaries. They make for an impressive team, and our thanks go to all of them. My fellow board members too dedicate countless hours to all manner of discussions, deliberations, and meetings. Thank you to every one of them too. And again, I would particularly like to acknowledge Dumisani Nkala and Mikhail Bolanovsky, both of whom retired from the board last year, for the years of thoughtful service they gave and during which they saw Cotlands through transitions of strategy, leadership, and location. We owe both of them an enormous debt. I'd like to end my report with a quote that I think of on most days, and never more so than during this past year. And it starts, "We don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents. And to live now, as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is itself a marvelous victory." And that's from Howard Zinn, an historian. So may we all continue to live in ways that are marvelous victories in the year to come. Thank you. And with that, I'd like to call on Monica Sack, our CEO.
Thank you, Niven, and it gives me great pleasure to also present my report. So traversing the uncharted territory of the year that has been is aptly summarized by the theme of our annual report: rethink, reorganize, and reignite. Cotlanders value responsiveness. The opportunity to rethink presented itself on numerous occasions during the year under review. The board had to rethink how best to deal with the HR-related decisions linked to the COVID-19 situation. The executive leadership team was challenged, stretched, and very capably managed to rethink processes and procedures in a world that migrated from the physical into the world of online meetings and collaboration. The operations team had to rethink how we reach our families, the parents, and the children in our care. The team developing online course material had to adjust their activities so that we could onboard the first cohort of learners sooner than planned. On a personal level, every Cotlander that was laid off and those who received between 20 and 50% less of their salaries had to rethink and find solutions to make ends meet. Our project partners were invaluable, and they helped us rethink project deliverables and timeframes, and they made it possible for us to resume all our project-based activities after the lockdown period of 6 months, in which we were not able to deliver any direct services. As a result of every Cotlander's ability to rethink, we safeguarded 129 livelihoods. I am eternally grateful to every Cotlander that braved all the uncertainty and, despite the hardship, the discomfort, and the difficulties they were experiencing, were able to show up, to reach targets, to serve our children, and to rethinking also then required reorganizing. It was clear that this was not business as usual in the short to longer term. The board and the leadership team contemplated a revised working model for the organization, which included permanently working remotely and no longer having a physical head office space. We successfully reorganized our head office processes. Our entire archive room containing financial records and children's files were reorganized, indexed, and stored. We explored many online meeting and collaboration tools and settled on Microsoft Teams as our preferred online platform. In addition, we secured a suitable space to house the head office hot desking space, as well as the Gauteng Toy Library and the regional team. We reduced our car fleet and disposed of minor assets. Reorganizing also refers to being flexible and able to make these adjustments. For the head office team working remotely, it also meant reorganizing their home spaces, their time, their way of working, and connecting with their colleagues. Once we were reorganized, we were able to reignite our collective passion by refocusing our energy to reopen our projects and program related activities. Restarting our projects and programs work in August 2020 reignited our focus and energy. I have to commend the operations and projects teams for embracing the stringent COVID-19 protocols and for making the required programmatic changes to ensure we comply to the prevention protocols. Despite our best effort, we did experience the occasional and stop-start effect in the regional offices, which was brought about as a colleague tested positive, bringing everything to a halt whilst the affected individuals quarantined. I was so proud to see how individuals and teams persevered and remained committed to doing what is required. When we reviewed the board performance, adjusted our strategy, and proceeded with preparing the budget for the financial year 2022, the team was cautiously optimistic and prepared a conservative budget against the uncertain backdrop of a looming pandemic. Our main focus in the short term is to ensure children enrolled in our groups attend the sessions. Also, increasing the number of toy library members receives continuous attention, with many rethinking sessions undertaken. The work related to advocacy is a priority as we set very specific targets, and we are determined to achieve that in the coming year. Securing sponsorship and enrolling learners on Cotlands Ignite courses is of paramount importance to ensure Cotlands sustainability. It also makes Cotlands a pioneer in the world of online training in the ECD sector. I am deeply humbled by all the rethinking, reorganizing, and reigniting I had the privilege to be part of. When I reflect on the year that was, I see 129 Cotlanders supported by 12 incredible board members, touching the lives of so many children and adults, always ready to play, always ready to be responsible, able and willing to find solutions and to be responsive. People with infinite potential and who sees possibilities, not just challenges. Individuals that strive for excellence and who live to make an impact in South Africa, dedicating their skills and passion to serving young children. Although this year under review was trying, it was also a year where we did so many things we are so proud of. May we continue to ignite our potential, the potential of the communities we serve, and the potential of the children we have the privilege to meet and journey with. Thank you so much. I'd like also for Niven to proceed with the proposal of the financial statements.
Thank you, Monica. So I would like to thank our auditors, LSG Integrated, and certainly the Cotlands Finance Department for all the work that they put into the financial statements. And I'd like to propose that the financial statements be accepted. So can I have someone that proposes the motion?
I propose.
Thanks, Motseki. And somebody second, please.
Marcel?
Thank you, Marcel. So that allows me to move on to the election of the management board. And I would like to welcome, firstly, our new board members. And as I read out their names, I would also like them to please switch on their video and keep their video on until the end of the section. We'll be taking a screenshot of all the new board members and the existing ones. So firstly, the new board members, Maxine Merrifield. Nicole De Silva, unfortunately, cannot attend. She had a work meeting that was impossible to get out of, given that she was drafted into hosting a morning radio show, which sadly could not wait for the Cotlands AGM. But we are delighted to have her on board. Theodore De Jager and Yul Munda. So I would like to present as a whole the management board for the ensuing year, and I'd like to present and elect them. So the existing board members, and the board members proposed for the upcoming financial year are Marcel Arnold, Marie-Louise Samuels, Motseki Majake, Nazir Ali, myself, and Tatiana Page. The new board members, just to affirm, are Maxine Merrifield, Nicole De Silva, Theodore De Jager, and Yul Banda. So I'd like to propose that we be accepted, please. Now, I really would like to propose that we be accepted.
Do you need a second, Niven?
I need a proposal and a seconder, please.
I will propose.
Thank you, Janet.
I'll second. That's Mike.
Thank you. I heard Jackie's voice and somebody else's voice, but we've got that. So that's lovely. And now it comes to a moment that's fairly bittersweet for me, I have to say, and that's to acknowledge the resignation and retirement of 2 board members. So let me start with Neil Maslin, who joined the board in May 2018, and who certainly lived up to what his LinkedIn profile says about him, which is that he has an uncanny knack of slicing through the noise to find workable, practical solutions. I mean, we certainly experienced that during his time at Cotlands. He made a very powerful impression and very strong contributions. And so we were particularly sorry that due to work pressures, he said he simply had to step back from the board. Despite his best intentions, he couldn't offer it the ongoing support and contributions that he would have liked to. So I'd like to again thank and acknowledge him for a fabulous contribution. The second is Janet Stapria. So Janet joined the board in March 2011, but her relationship with Cotlands actually started long before that, because she adopted her daughter Lauren from Cotlands over 25 years ago. And in the 10 years she's been on the board, I mean, her contribution has been immense. She has and continues to freely and frequently share her very considerable expertise in organizational and team development, strategy and leadership with the whole of Cotlands. And as did her family sometimes, it seems. Janet's husband is also an expert in the same kinds of fields. And every so often we would hear at board meetings or discussions saying, so I spoke to my husband about this and I didn't reveal any sensitive details, but we need to consider and we need to think about. And so this was very much a family affair, it seems, and we are all the richer for it. Janet was also instrumental in shaping Cotland's strategy, investing many hours in the leadership team, brainstorming ideas, making the strategy concrete, especially the strategic shift from being a children's baby sanctuary to really being one of the leading ECD providers and thought leaders in the country. The rewrite of our constitution and the corresponding board mandates was probably her most fundamental, lasting contribution, but by no means, as I say, her only one. Taking on this task was huge, but Janet completed it with her usual aplomb, thoroughness, and distinction. What I particularly value about Janet is that she has this astonishing ability to both hold the organization and its people to account and to hold the people in the organization with huge care and compassion. Years ago, I read a Harvard Business Review article which was titled, "Why Should Anyone Be Led by You?" Which, you know, is quite a powerful question, I suppose, for all of us to ask of ourselves. And in that article, one of the things they talk about as the quality of very good leaders is this seemingly paradoxical quality of tough empathy. And so you're absolutely driven on results, but you care deeply about the people as well. And I think Janet encompassed and encapsulated this in every interaction I had with her and every board meeting and subcommittee meeting she attended. She also leveraged her networks extensively and created multiple speaking opportunities where Cotlands was showcased. And another quote that I'd like to mention by Margaret Mead, the famed anthropologist, goes as follows. I must admit that I personally measure success in terms of the contributions an individual makes to his or her fellow human beings. Janet, your contribution has been immense, and so too your success, and therefore ours as Cotlands. We will all miss you. We will miss your astute leadership, your deep wisdom, your extensive institutional knowledge, and not least, your infectious laugh and perennial enthusiasm. We owe you a debt of gratitude that words cannot express, but we very much look forward to staying in touch as you head up the Friends of Cotlands work going forward. Thank you, Janet. Actually, yes, I think we do deserve that, absolutely. And with that, it calls on me to nominate the auditors for the upcoming year, and that's LSG Integrated. So if somebody could please propose that.
Tashiana.
Thanks, Tash. And somebody to please second that.
Moteki.
Thank you, Moteki. And I saw Nazir's hand as well. Then the next item under General is for me to present the new organizational membership of Cotlands. So on the 10th of June 2021, we approved a new constitution for Cotlands at a special general meeting. Clause 7 of this new constitution refers to the organizational membership of Cotlands. And under that, clause 7.1.1 reads as follows. Any persons duly registered, upon filling and handing in to the Secretariat a membership form and having paid a membership fee as determined by the board, will be considered ordinary general members. Membership will be aligned with the financial year that we have at Cotlands, so from the 1st of April to the end of March. And with respect to the membership fee, a person who has donated to the organization the sum of at least 2,000 Rand or its equivalent in kind during the financial year, and who has also completed a membership form, will be a member of the organization and have voting rights at the following AGM. And so with that, I'd like to open this part of the proceedings to any further points, questions, comments from the floor, please. Of which it seems there are none. So that allows me to then, with great pleasure, hand back over to Monica for the next part of the proceedings.
Thank you so much, Niven. I really appreciate that. I'd like to, in closing, thank all the board members and all of Cotlands' investors, subscribers, employees, also for your attendance and your continued support in the work that we do. You would have received the link to our beautiful annual report. And this report is done year on year on year by the wonderful team of HKLM Exchange. They do this report for us pro bono, and they also managed to secure the printing of this report, and we are forever indebted to them for helping us pull together such a magnificent document that actually captures all that we do at Cotlands. We'd also like to thank Papercore, Lawprint, and Untamed Potential for also providing the support to HKLM and for also donating a variety of expertise in order to make this report such a beautiful product. I'd also like to thank Michelle from Singular Systems. She so graciously every year reads the report, rereads it again, and provides us with much needed insight into providing clarity and making sure that the report is succinct and coherent. Michelle, thank you so much for doing that for us. And then also to KPMG, they've been long-standing partners of Cotlands as well, and also provides a year-on-year our non-financial report. So you will see that there are certain of the numbers that we produce, such as the numbers of beneficiaries and the numbers of meals and so on, which is limited assured by KPMG, also on a pro bono basis. And thank you also very much to Paresh and the team. It's always wonderful working with you, and we really are very thankful for the manner in which you also help us improve internal systems and processes. And then also to Net Florist, who also graciously provides us with gifts so that we're able to also thank people who have helped us pull the report together. And then this report's also not possible unless you have somebody who holds everything together, who makes sure that we all stay on track. And that's the job that Kerry does with such distinction. Kerry, you are such a wonderful coordinator in this regard. You make sure that we start timeously, which we in fact did do this year. You also are the person who right up until the end keeps liaising and documenting and making the changes and following up. We are so grateful to you for making this possible for us, and making Cotlands so proud when we do publish the annual report. And thank you so much for who you are and the wonderful work that you continue doing in so many regards, but especially with regards to the annual report. And then I'd like to also then just acknowledge all Cotlanders for the work that they do so very dedicatedly. The children are really blessed to have you in the respective roles that you perform, and thank you so much for being the people who you are. We are really blessed to have you as part of the team. And then I'd like to call on Niven to close the meeting, and then I'll introduce the closing activity, Niven.
Thank you, Monica. And with that, I do declare the meeting closed.
Wonderful.
The annual report was sent to everyone before the AGM, and we're now going to use it for the activity that Monica is going to take us through. So back to you, Monica.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So very true to our core and to our value system. You know, we're all about play and igniting potential through play, and we thought we can't have an AGM without infusing it with a little bit of a playful activity. So if you take a look, Kerry will be posting the link to a quiz. So if you could perhaps migrate by just clicking on the quiz, it's going to ask you 10 questions. It shouldn't take you very long. You could find some of the answers or most of the answers in the annual report if you wanted to quickly flip through that to find the answers. So let's just participate in the quiz. So you're welcome to navigate to the quiz, complete it, and then we'll have a look at some of the responses in about 5 to 10 minutes. Oh dear. I guess this is the quietest playful activity ever.
Yes, I don't have my copy of the annual report handy, and it's interesting to see what I can remember after having, I thought, read that report plenty of times.
Sure. Hopefully, the questions just drive some of the very salient points, the numbers of children we've served, the numbers of meals, and so on. So I guess most of us have completed this, and so the results will be sent to your email if you're curious to check how many of the quiz questions you actually did get right. And then thank you so much for attending our AGM. I trust that it was insightful. We want to invite you to take a look at the annual report, and if you have any other further questions, you're most welcome to reach out to us. And then I guess that concludes Cotland's 77th Annual General Meeting. And may you have a blessed day as you go about your business today. Thank you so much, everybody, and also to Niven for being such a spectacular chairperson. We really appreciate you, Niven.
My pleasure. Thank you, Monica.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Monica.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks.
Safe.
Bye.
Irene, you need to put your camera on before we can do a photo opportunity.
And then I see our new colleague, Bongani. Bongani, we'd love to meet you. Do you want to switch on your camera quickly? Bongani? Bongani is our new colleague from Makondu. And I've only heard good things. Good morning. Pleased to meet you.
How are you?
I'm very good. Welcome to the team. I thought to grab the opportunity since you're online. It's much better than just doing a phone call.
Oh, okay, not a problem.
Thank you so much for joining the team in Makondu. And I hope it goes really well. You've got a huge task ahead of yourself. But we are so delighted to have you as part of the Cotlands team.
Thank you. Definitely, I'm also happy to be joining Cotlands. And thank you for welcoming me.
Wonderful, wonderful. So just reach out if you need help. Kerry is everybody's go-to person, as you've gathered, and and Irene's the person that helps us get the money in. And so, yeah, hopefully there'll be a chance, you know, to meet up with you as we do general meetings and so on. So wonderful. Good luck in the new position.
Oh, thank you very much, ma'am.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bongani. Have a good day.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's so difficult to take nice pictures because as you do it, everybody like talking, so eyes closed or mouth
Yes,
open.
mouth open. Yeah.
So it's difficult to get good ones, but hopefully we've managed to get a few here and there. So yes.
Oh, shame. You look really nice, Irene. Love the orange.
I didn't make it for the photo shoot though. I was off for the photo shoot. Kerry, you can take one now.
I
Okay.
think just let's do it. Let's see. There we go. Now I've got you laughing, but it's actually a lovely photo.
Thank you, Kerry.
One more. Hopefully that one worked.
Mpo also wants to be in the photo, so here he comes. Hi, Mpo. How are you? So you better take a photo of Mpo as well.
There we go. Hold on. Coming. That's a nice one, actually.
Lovely.
Yeah,
well done, Kerry. Thank you for all the organizing, and it really went very well.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for my thank you.
I'm sure you just want to go, oh,
yes.
It's a wrap.
It's done. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And also
Thanks.
to you and Irene and Mpo for joining the AGM. Really appreciate that. We had quite a few external guests. That was really lovely. Yeah,
Yes.
it's lovely to see some external people.
Very nice. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Thank you to all.
Wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye.
Well.
Bye.
Bye.